Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Yes, it's the draft horse. Welcome back to Bunny and Me. This is Bunny and I'm Me. And today in 1830, America's first locomotive lost a one-on-one race to a draft horse. The locomotive, called Tom Thumb, consisted of repurposed musket barrels for boiler tubes and a little engine that kind of couldn't. Pulling a car with 40 passengers, Tom Thumb faced down a stagecoach company's draft horse hitched to an open-air passenger car. The race seemed fairly balanced until the steel horse failed to do the locomotion due to mechanical difficulties. Engineer Peter Cooper managed to repair the locomotive, but by then the race was lost. Of course, embarrassment can be a strong motivator, and a year later an improved locomotive reached speeds as high as 30 miles per hour. The improved speed and reliability convinced the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad to transition from horses to steam-powered locomotion in July of 1831. Speaking of surprisingly persistent steam-blowing engines, Donald Trump recently released his medical report in an attempt to prove he is more physically fit than Hillary Clinton, and therefore more presidential. The report indicated that the 70-year-old Republican nominee currently weighs 236 pounds. Being 6 feet 3 inches tall, he is considered to be only a little bit short of obese, medically speaking. His weight and associated medical concerns like managing his cholesterol levels are unlikely to change if you take into account his beliefs regarding what passes for a reasonable amount of exercise. In an interview with TV personality and controversial medical professional Dr. Oz, Trump stated that he gets plenty of regular exercise by standing in heated rooms and giving speeches in front of the voting populace. He also stated that his skin is in good condition and that he always wears a baseball cap to protect himself from the sun. He said nothing, however, of tanning beds. The ongoing discussion over the health of presidential nominees is concerning for a number of reasons. Trump's need to trump his opponents in increasingly juvenile ways notwithstanding, the increasingly insipid desire to elect a president that has an outwardly healthful glow only became prevalent around the time that John F. Kennedy stepped into office. A recipient of the Purple Heart, JFK had the appearance of a hardy young veteran ready to lead the cavalry into the fray. Ironically, it appears that Kennedy suffered from Addison's disease, which affects the adrenal gland's ability to efficiently regulate blood sugar, sodium, and potassium. He suffered from ulcers, colitis, and severe degenerative back problems as well. Apparently, the former president was on such an extensive regimen of steroids, painkillers, antispasmodics, antibiotics, antihistamines, and other necessary medications and treatments that pharmacologist Janet Travell had to maintain a medical administration record to keep track of all the drugs in case of adverse combined effects. Of course, the public saw a youthful president filled with such vigor that we have idealized the image of health and physical stamina in a presidential candidate ever since, and it is this image that Trump hopes to use as a means of proving that Clinton is unfit for the presidency. Looking back through history, however, it becomes clear that physical ability or susceptibility to illness often has little effect on one's ability to govern. Starting with President George Washington. Now, Trump claims that he has not had to be hospitalized since the age of 11. Congratulations, Mr. Trump. Considering your perfect health, it is no surprise that you have managed to construct a dynasty built with a failed university, bankruptcy, and esteemed heroism during the Vietnam War. Washington, on the other hand, only managed to lead the American rebels from trenches to triumph, incite unity, and construct the new nation's government, all the while suffering multiple bouts of diphtheria, malaria, smallpox, tuberculosis, dysentery, and other ailments. Andrew Jackson suffered smallpox and depression and 40 years of pain from an improperly healed gunshot wound. John Tyler suffered symmetric paralysis that may have been related to Guillain-Barré syndrome, tic paralysis, botulism, or something similar. Abraham Lincoln suffered from malaria, frostbite, syphilis, pseudodepression, and scarlet fever, in addition to being a victim of domestic violence. It is also likely that he, like his mother and 3 of his sons, would have died of a hereditary cancer syndrome called multiple endocrine neoplasia had he not been assassinated. Calvin Coolidge appears to have suffered depression, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt used a wheelchair, crutches, a walking stick, and leg braces due to polio. Each of these individuals managed to perform their presidential duties in spite of, or even because of, their various ailments. Eleanor Roosevelt, for instance, stated that FDR's disability ultimately made him stronger by giving him cause for courage, and JFK's ability to micromanage his health condition contributed to his productive nature. So if all of these men were able to balance various health problems with productivity in public office, why is Trump so adamant that Clinton's health will make her incapable of carrying out her presidential duties? Perhaps it's not the pneumonia that will prevent her from keeping up with her own administration. Perhaps he's concerned with an affliction of a more hereditary nature, an affliction that so many women throughout history have suffered. Although her medical records have not been released as comprehensively as we all wish Trump's tax returns would be, the discerning eye could predict the content. It appears as though Clinton was born with a uterus. Perhaps Trump is merely expressing compassion for the Democratic nominee who suffers from such a debilitating condition. After all, who could expect someone born with a uterus to push through dizziness, fatigue, sweats, hot flashes, shortness of breath, headaches, or other forms of discomfort and show up for work as if it were a normal day? Chances are, like many women, Clinton assessed her pneumonia-related symptoms and thought, well, it's hardly worse than having a uterus. I suppose I may as well go to work today. Clinton's list of political scandals aside, Bunny and me say hats off to Hillary for bravely facing the chronic affliction of uterusness and wish her a quick recovery. To Donald, we say, try facing her down next time she has a mood swing. That's all from Bunny and me. If you want more information about the topics discussed, you can find the links in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next time.